is my life going in the direction? Is my life going? A lot of us will look at life in a very fine perspective when we're on our deathbeds. Look, we know how regret feels. Yeah? It feels like something has got hold of us, and we won't rest until we undo what we've done. But the most unbearable regret is the one that you can't do anything about. And that regret, my friends, is when you die, after your death. There are traditions, in the Islamic traditions, that talk about people that will beg God to come back to life, just to come back, just so they can praise His name. Just so they can praise His name, but they won't be able to, because your time is up. And that is an unbearable regret. I wouldn't want anybody to have that feeling. It is, we should invest in our time on these questions. Do not be fooled by what we on the essence outside world. It's a big con. You know, in the end, people will say to Shaitan, the devil, at the day of judgment, they'll rush up to him and they'll say, "This is your fault." And he will just reply, "I didn't do anything. I just called you. You followed." So we can't blame anyone for the distraction. We can only blame ourselves.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
You mentioned how humans are forgetful. Could you give us a few practical tips to stop us from being so forgetful?
Stop watching TV. Because the TV is a brainwashing machine. It really is. I just got Sky, right, and boy do I regret it. Yeah, I thought it'd be great to have the function where you can choose when you want to watch what you want to watch, but then you end up watching everything. Yeah, can you believe there's like over 100 channels, and there's still nothing on to watch? I spend my time pressing the button on all the channels, but really, cut down on TV, immerse yourself with things that are real. Immerse yourself with I say philosophy, right? These questions of pondering about man's purpose, man's life, these kind of things. Read about people that thought, like Bertrand Russell. Like I said, read about stories. Read about stories of people that thought that life was great without God, right? And then when they came to their deathbed, they had a rude awakening. Read about stories of other people's experiences. Read about, speak to the elder. Look, listen. Have you noticed something about the older generation in these countries, in this country? They're very miserable, right? They're very bitter about their life. Because I don't blame them, right? Because they live their life, they know it's going to end, and that's the end of it. Most of these people that have, I had some discussions with some atheists from some centre, and he's so miserable. You can see on their faces they're just no content about life, right? Whereas when people have kind of some sense of transcendence, regardless of what religion, even if you don't necessarily believe in the biblical religions, or you don't believe in the Islamic religion, but you believe there's something greater, even New Age, they have this spirit in them. Whereas you have these people that are happy about life, and you have this negativity about it's a bitter life. It just chews you up and spits you out. Because that's what life is without God, whether you like it or not. So immerse yourself with people with the same experience. Read. And for Muslims, for example, just go over all the stories of the past messengers. What you're encountering today in your lives is all addressed in the Quran. This is the wonderful thing about the Quran. Even if you don't believe it's the book of God, it has an authority that can't be surpassed. It speaks to you. This book, 1400 years ago, it still speaks to me. And it will speak to the same person in the same situation many years away from here. And it still relates to someone who was born in the 7th century. Why is that? Because it knows us better than we know ourselves. It knows our weaknesses. It knows the struggles. It knows, I think the Quran also describes people to have a tendency to be selfish. We do. And it's a struggle to sometimes not be selfish. It knows us. It knows our inner selves. So read the Quran. When you have struggles in your life, read the Quran. Just go back to the Quran and it will remind you, by the way, it will remind you that how mortal you are. Honestly, every so, if you don't have it in your diary, this week I'm going to think about it. Imagine one of your friends got that, right? They'll probably call 999 or something like that. Yeah, he's having a hard time with his exam. Yeah. Honestly, no joke. Really do think about it. Honestly, it brings me back to earth, by the way. Suddenly it's like a spell is broken. When I think about that, I'm mortal. I'm going, if you're having a problem with someone, and you're having an argument, and that argument seems the well to you, think about dying. Then you'll say to yourself, you know what? It doesn't even matter. Someone could be the most rudest comment could be made about you. Get all angry, upset about it. Then think about this, and you're going to die. Does it really mean anything? I have a friend who's going through a lot of problems. With his family, he's been getting divorced, and his kids, and all that stuff. And I said to him, think about dying, right? Does it really matter? You can lose everything, every single thing. If you know you're on the right path, if you know you're going to go to your Lord, it doesn't matter if you lose your home, your family, your wealth. That's why Allah says He will test you with your health, your family. Right? He will test you with those things. It does not matter. Nothing matters. Right? Nothing matters. Absolutely nothing matters except the fact that you will be with your Lord. Now think of a problem. It's not quite the same, is it? It's not the same, is it? It doesn't really matter, does it? That's what works for me. Try it sometime. Don't obviously do it to not. If you're having an argument with your husband or something, go, well, I don't care. Don't mean that. It's more of existentialism. Okay? Any more questions?
Hello. It's something about what you said before, that we are part of this God's plan.
Yes.
That we are in this world, and then I was discussing with an atheist friend of mine about how her brother experienced this. That one of his friends just suicided because he was very depressed, and then when her brother saw this, and he was believing in God, but then he stopped believing in God. So, well, basically, my question is, like, if we're part of God's plan, then what is it? I mean, like, what is our fault in it? Like if we're doing something, or what is our will in it? Like, do we have a will?
Yes, of course. The decision that you make are down to you. Absolutely, it's your decision. Sometimes people say to me, "Well, how can God put someone into hell?" And I say that's wrong. God doesn't put anyone to hell. We put ourselves into hell. We decide that we want to spit in the face of God and say, "We don't want your salvation. Have a nice day." That attitude puts someone into the hellfire. God does not want anybody to go into the hellfire. That's why philosophically that you are in the best possible situation, your life, your location, your gender, your age, whatever it may be, to come to God. You're in the best, God has put you in the best possible situation, the best opportunity to come to God. It is us who decide not to go to God. And that doesn't mean that only Muslims are saved and all non-Muslims are not saved. It doesn't mean that. We don't have this binary outlook. There are many nuances. There are many grey areas, like most things in life. God accounts everybody according to their environment. So salvation is relative to your environment and your information. Okay? You can never say to someone, and we get this word used a lot, kafir. Who's heard this word? You're in the car. Did you say it? Oh, you just scratching your nose, sorry. Some Muslims, they use this word, derogatory sense. They're in the car, and someone cuts them up. You kafir! This is wrong. This is really wrong. A kafir is someone. It comes from the word kafara, which means to conceal. A kafir is someone who knows Islam is true, who knows God exists, who knows that Muhammad is the last messenger, and he rejects it. That is a kafir. Don't misuse this term. So it is not the case that everyone who is a Muslim goes to heaven and everyone who's not a Muslim is a kafir. No, because God is most merciful. He will look at your good deeds, He will look at your environment, He will look at how you lived your life in ignorance of Islam, ignorance of the truth. So yes, we choose where we go to.
Any more questions?
Hey, Assalamualaikum.
Like that.
I just wanted to ask, do you know how some people might think, not me personally, but some people, what would you say to people that would think, okay, it's better to die and be non-existent than to face years of punishment in the day of judgment? What would you say to people that would say that to you?
It's better to die and not exist than to face punishment and existence. Punishment, you mean in the afterlife?
Yeah.
The reason that we exist is because it's an expression of God's love and mercy that He wants us to experience eternal happiness. That is why we exist. Because God, by definition, He is loving. He is, by definition, merciful, just, good. He is the paradigm and locus of all that is good. And because of that, we exist, because He wants us to experience that. So a life where you just exist and die would be, can you imagine living that life and knowing that? Like I said, man is like a criminal sentenced to death. And all he does is just kills time. Can you imagine if you knew you were going to die in 10 days? How would your life be? Don't tell me, be like, oh, well, make the most out of it. You'd be constantly thinking about, I'm going, oh no, it's 9 days, oh no, it's 8 days. You'd have a whole life of worrying about dying, right? So I disagree. I think a life where you have the opportunity to have eternal happiness is a better life than not to exist. Yeah. Yes?
How many forms of states of existence do you have?
State of existence?
Yes.
That's a very philosophical question. No, that's fine. State of existence. Can you elaborate? What do you mean by that?
Well, we're our existence right now.
Yeah.
And the
There-
fact that we believe there is the hereafter, we believe that will be,
Yeah.
we will rise again.
Okay, so there are two types of existence. There's necessary existence and there's contingent existence, right? See, necessary existence is a being, which is namely Allah, God. Contingent is every other existence in any shape or form is contingent. What happens to human beings is that there is a sort of limbo period before the day of judgment. So we exist here and then we're in a state which is known as the grave. And then what we have is the day of judgment where all living things, all human beings rather, will come into existence and we will be accounted. And after that, that is the final point of existence. Don't know if that answers your question. Yes? Oh, good.
Any more questions?
Thanks.
Yes, I wanted to know what do you think about the intermediate position when you don't believe in God, but you don't fall in the extreme consumism and you think it's ridiculous all the advertisement and where we are going when the society, the people feels sorry for my English.
It's okay, no worries. No worries.
So,
So are you
yes,
Spanish?
yes.
There's any consolation, my Spanish is really bad. Actually, it's 0. Carry on, you're doing a good job.
Yes, what do you think about this position? One person who doesn't believe in God, but doesn't believe in this kind of life people carry on actually.
So what I would say, so one doesn't believe in God, but then one does not fall prey to, say, consumerism and material wealth. Is that what you're saying? So it's a halfway house. But I would say that person would be sort of angst. It would always be something there itching at the subconscious. There's this kind of turmoil inside that one can't overcome. There'll be moments, what will happen is that what you're saying is that, yes, I don't believe in this, but yet the hunger, the yearning for transcendence will still be there. Because remember what I said, that sort of modern man developed techniques to do away with this yearning.